My name, as she said, is Avantika Ahuja, and I'm first and foremost Seher and Leila's mum. I'm also the Vice President of Marketing and Brand Communications at Coco Carton Cafe. And I don't know about anyone else here, but the word metamorphosis, which is where I'm starting, conjures to me Franz Kafka's horrifying story about a man turning into a cockroach. But I'm here to talk about a little less horrifying take on metamorphosis. The metamorphosis of a business. So I think it's Mark Zuckerberg who very recently in an interview said, let's constantly be doing something that can be doubted. Because if we're not, then what are we really doing? Everyone has this preconceived notion of the trajectory of a successful business. And it was a myth that I was also a victim to. But I'm here today to dispel that notion for you. The idea of your business might be very simple at its core, but the reality of executing it, the reality of finding the right business model for your idea, takes many an attempt, and it's really not a straightforward road. How your business starts isn't very often where it ends, and that's pretty much what I'm here to talk to you today about. Over the course of the past 4 years, achieving success has largely come from these lessons that can be summed up into be quick-footed, because fortune favors the swift. And the next is the most important one, I'd say, for our journey. Turn your adversity into opportunity. It's my father-in-law's favorite. It's something that he says every day. Be reliable, no matter the price. And I'm going to go on to illustrate via examples of the fact that I mean this literally. And the last is, make your offering exclusive. To start off with, raise your hand if you've ever had a bar of chocolate. Now keep it raised if you've had a bar of chocolate that's been made outside of India. That's what I thought. That's most of us here, right? That's the slice, and honestly, it's the sliver of the pie that we represent. The chocolate industry last year did about $2.7 billion in India. But to give you some and it's supposed to more than double by 2028. But to give you some perspective on where we stand, the average Indian consumption of chocolate per capita, so the amount of chocolate a person in India consumes in a year, is about 100 to 200 grams. So that's about 1 to 2 bars. Now that we've established that everyone loves chocolate, the pandemic gave us something to do with this idea. My family's business is based in travel retail, duty-free. So during the pandemic, there was no travel, and there certainly wasn't any retail, right? But it gave us two things. It gave us time, and it gave us inventory. We created opportunity in this adversity. Out of necessity, we paid customs duty on inventory lying at the airports, and then we decided, let's gauge if people are interested in this. So I remember I designed PDFs of the inventory lying at the airports. And then, I'd like to think of these PDFs that I designed on Canva, by the way, as the most rudimentary precursor to our website, which was the first model of our business. And we distributed these to friends, family, and a few retailers too. But the interest that we were met with made us all think, that, maybe this is something worth exploring. And thus was born the idea of retailing confectionery domestically in India. Time is such an undervalued asset. You can ask any working mom. The abundance of time, however, that I had and Karan, my husband, had allowed us to successfully work on the e-commerce model of our business. And within 60 days, we managed the licenses, the trademarks, the actual design of our website, the logistics of delivering chocolate to doorsteps, and as I said, it was a compressed 2-month period, which brings me back to my original lesson about being swift-footed. Since we first started with e-commerce, we immediately started leveraging relationships that we already had with brands, and because we moved swiftly, it helped us welcome Belgian giants like Godiva, as you can see there, and Neuhaus to our fold. We turned the death of all travel retail into an opportunity. And by making the most of the time when people certainly weren't going to these brands with new opportunities for markets, to do business in new markets. And we use this to our advantage. Now, coming to building reliability, lesson number 3 was being reliable no matter the price, right? When we launched in 2020, e-commerce retail in India stood at about 4% of all transactions. Today, that number has doubled. So when I said reliability, no matter the price, I said I meant this literally. And that's because building consistency and authenticity took precedence over, say, best price. So sure, sometimes, you may find a cheaper equivalent in the city. But is it, are those business models, do they offer consistency? Do they offer reliability? Reputation comes as a result of repetition, repeatedly delivering the same result reliably. As Zuckerberg said, it's important to be doubted. So let's dive right into the world of brick and mortar. And it was certainly a world that I doubted. I must emphasize again how being quick-footed has been so important in needing to address. I just told you that e-commerce transactions in 2020 were at 4% of all transactions, right? So there was 96% of the population that we weren't addressing. So in needing to address the remaining 96% of shoppers, we decided we'd keep a singular flagship model downtown, and a singular flagship store, downtown in Fort. And this was a place where we thought we'd keep it as a customer experience center, where guests of the brand could come, touch and feel the product, and we distinguish ourselves from other obscure internet brands. And then we thought to ourselves, you know what? Let's give them 2 reasons to visit us. And thus was born the idea of Coco Cafe. Coco Cafe was conceived of to beckon guests of Coco Cart to linger, spend some more time with us, spend some more money with us. But what ended up happening is quite a bit different. The virality of our pink-themed store in Fort drew hordes of crowd from all over the city. As the Instagram photo of the Godiva cookie against the wall there suggests, there was a sense of exclusivity that we capitalized on. We opened the store, like I said, as an experience center for guests of Coco Cart, but crowds showed up day after day for Coco Cafe. And this led us back to the drawing board to think how we could best evolve, how we could give people what they wanted. Ultimately, as word of Coco Cafe spread, we realized that, hey, the market's telling us something. I remember very clearly, very wedded to my original idea of my simple e-commerce platform which delivered chocolate to everyone. But the market had a contrary opinion, right? So I return yet again to Zuckerberg's quote on constantly doing something that leads you to be doubted. Because only in exploring the world's response to your idea can you truly evolve. And we definitely evolved. We launched as an e-commerce platform, and then we launched in July of 2020. By the end of the year, to give you some sense of timeline, we had 4 stores operational. F&B arm started with a 6-item menu, and it's now today at a 100+ item menu with 3 different cafe formats. As business opportunities came to us, we evolved some more. Because, for instance, we decided that we needed quicker service, items on our menu. We needed heartier meals as well. And every time the market demanded these of us, we more than rose to the occasion. Today, we have more than 18 cafes across the country. And the world's best Godiva cookie, which you saw in the earlier slide, now shares space with an entirely separate cookie menu. I've narrated thus far anecdotes of us being quick-footed, of us being reliable, and they've mostly had a pretty positive spin, or an immediate positive spin. But I'm going to now relate an anecdote, because I think it's important to come back to my original point of the trajectory of successful businesses. It isn't simple, it isn't straightforward, and it's not just upward sloping. So failure is also a very big part of a successful business's trajectory. And my point here is that failure is perhaps when you perhaps when you learn the most. It's perhaps when your business makes its most productive evolution. So it's summer of 2021, and we're in talks with a massive Swiss chocolate company, a luxury Swiss chocolate company, and we successfully soft launched with them over the course of Diwali 2021. And the soft launch was to give way to us being their franchise partners for India and opening and running boutiques for them. The long and short of it all is we fail. After 18 months of pitching and working with this business, we fail. But in this adversity, we saw opportunity. And when I say we, I honestly mean he did. Thus, Rhine Valley was born. In Europe, inspired by European style of chocolate making, Rhine Valley is also rooted very deeply in our understanding of the Indian consumer. And it's the culmination of all our lessons, the lessons that I've been telling you about, that we've learned over the course of our journey at CocoCart. So we very swiftly launched Rhine Valley. And I think it's important to right now to talk about how crucial timing has been to success. Because, as I told you, October 2021 was when we soft launched with that brand, right? And by the end of, by mid-year, I'd say, or by the beginning of the following year, we finally figured that, hey, this is not going anywhere. But by the following Diwali, we had a more competitively priced, a more intelligently specced, a better packaged chocolate brand than we could have ever hoped for. And being first to market with this concept has proven very important to the success that we experienced. As I just mentioned, it took just in 6 short months, we'd launched a chocolate brand. Lesson number 3 on the earlier slide talked about exclusivity and making sure that your offering is exclusive, that it's distinctive from the rest of the pack. Launching our own brand did that for us. The transparent packaging helped reflect the honesty with which we went into this venture. We were first to market in a market that was largely thought of as a compound chocolate market. And we proved that the Indian consumer is happy to spend that extra buck, because at that point, back when we launched, the only real product that's very big in our market is, for instance, Cadbury Silk, which is priced at about 80 rupees for 60 grams of chocolate. So it took a little bit of audacity, right? And a lot of faith to come in with another domestic brand, price and package it like an international one, and then price it at 5 times the price. So I go back to my lesson of reliability, no matter the price. But we had faith. We used extremely high-quality ingredients, thus bringing out my point of reliability no matter the price. And we very swiftly filled gaps in the market. And I'm going to give you now an example of what I mean. Can anyone in the audience think of a brand that offers a white chocolate fruit and nut? I'm going to actually save you the trouble. Let me stop you right there. There wasn't. But there now is. And on launch, this became an instant bestseller, because this was clearly something that people wanted. And it now, even today, 2 years later, enjoys space at the top 3 at CocoCart. So basically, my point here is revenue follows honest ventures that fulfill the need of the market. Today, CocoCart and Cafe have 68 stores across the breadth of the country. And I believe it was Kishore Biani who, in a recent interview, talked about how heterogeneous our country is. So finding that unifying power of chocolate and then making it palatable has only been possible because we were swift-footed, because we were reliable, because we were exclusive, but most of all, because we found opportunity in adversity. Those sitting in the auditorium today, if you have an idea, move swiftly on it. There's a paradigm shift in India, and the consumption class is only growing. When prospects look bleak, maybe there is an opportunity to be sought there. Perhaps it's a different business model, perhaps it's a different audience for your idea, or perhaps it's a different idea entirely. I hope my conversation here leaves you knowing that the path to success just isn't a straightforward journey. And if the market likes it, the market will reward it. But just know that it will evolve. And I just want you to know that moments like this, where you sit to pen your journey, makes you realize, how far you've really come, and it makes all the hardship worth it. Thank you.